are Christian influencers, are they on a good mission regarding sharing the gospel? And is it for views or likes, or do they have good intentions?
Like how important would you say it is for it to be entertaining, and how important should the likes be, or are they important? Because as a Christian, I feel like you're a brand ambassador for God. You can give God a good or bad reputation based off not only how or what you do, but what you say.
You can't control how somebody likes something. Would you say guilt trapping viewers for views, likes, and shares is good? Is that even part of the mission?
And that's a question for preachers, for teachers, because when you're on social media, you're a teacher.
Influencers are out there, but then I never thought that being a Christian influencer would be a thing. I thought that it was just people spreading the good message, but then I came to a point where I felt like sometimes I feel like they're forcing some things. Some are on a good mission, some make it seem like they're forcing their religion onto others. And yeah. So Tato, what's up, man? You may come in, man.
I hope everyone is good. So yeah, dog, I also feel the same way, and I think it's a very interesting topic, especially for us as Christians. I think we should start by saying that we are both Christian, right? And yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I share the same thought as you, man. I'm also Christian. Tato is Christian, and yeah, there's nothing wrong. And shout out to the other religions out there. Hope you all is doing well, and you guys as individuals, we hope that you guys are doing well and keeping up with yourselves. So yeah, man, Tato. When I say Christian influencer, what comes to mind? Type of vibe.
dog, not even too deep or anything, but like simply for me, like a Christian influencer is someone who uses a platform like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, to spread the word, or like to talk about like Christian values and all of those stuff.
Always, 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 always. So being exposed to that, did it ever like influence you in a way, like as in it motivated you, encouraged you, or made you change your ways and maybe let's say improve your Christian or spiritual journey type of vibe?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it has always been about improving. Like, it just added to me, but it never really changed anything big. So, like, you could be on social media, scrolling on Instagram, for instance, and you find a word of encouragement that talks to you and your specific situation. So, for me, that's what usually happens. It could be a verse, it could be a prayer, or maybe like even watching sermons on YouTube and all those stuff. They just add to it, like I just find that they're a good tool for me to stay grounded in everything that I do. So not to ever forget. So like if your algorithm has Christian influences in them, I find that to be like super helpful. Obviously it has to be the right ones, which is what we're gonna be talking about today.
On my end, man, as a Christian, I appreciate people who are teaching other people about, this certain, I don't want to say religion, but certain party type of vibe. And I respect that, because there could be somebody who's lost, who doesn't understand. And those people, they can break it down. But then I have a problem when, things go too far. Like, what if the influence doesn't serve the consumer the way it should? I mean, like, you can create content, but you're not in control of how the consumer takes it in. That is for sure. But, this made me question that Christian influencers, are they on a good mission regarding sharing the gospel? And is it for views or likes, or do they have good intentions? What do you think, man?
I mean, there are good parts of it, and obviously there are bad, which is what we're gonna dive into. But to answer your question, are they on a good mission? I feel like they are. Because the Bible does say that we should go into the world and preach the gospel, which is what a lot of them are doing. I think the problem with a lot of it has to do with the execution, like how you're actually doing the thing, because you could be doing something with the intention of with good intentions, but like the way you do it could be a turn off to some people. You could chase people away from the gospel because of how you're doing it. Like your objective is to bring people closer to God, but you're chasing them because of how you're doing it. And obviously there's that thing of, more like you just going for the likes. That's bad. That's a bad mission. You're not trying to bring people to the gospel. They're trying to, the mission then in that case would be like to get more likes and fame and all those stuff. Clout, basically. Clout.
Okay, then I agree with what you said, man. I agree with what you said, but okay, there's no buts. However, on my end, I've come across two spectrums. You know, the good side. I mean, I enjoy I enjoy teaching somebody something good. I don't like telling bad things to people, definitely. However, it hits me pretty much so when, I mean, you are a Christian, right? And you know the value of being Christian, because I feel like the word Christian itself is powerful. So I don't want to throw it around worthlessly, But then once somebody is preaching the gospel, but they're doing it for clout, as you said, it's kind of, it's not kind of, it is bad, because now it's like, is it part, are you doing things in vain, or are you really doing it from the bottom of your heart? It comes to that point. And I think I've witnessed and seen people maybe kind of getting carried away when speaking the word, and that doesn't sit well with me, because I myself, if I were a consumer, or I were a somebody who was interviewed in that content, I wouldn't appreciate it, man. I mean, why would you pull up to me with a camera or a phone recording me and asking me about my religion? And if I say no, I'm not that religion, that's where you come on me, and then maybe you trying to expose or being aggressive towards me. I don't appreciate that, and how they're doing it. I'm not saying all of them do that, but there's a touch of that, and I feel like it's breaking my spirit as a consumer, man. I'm not gonna lie. And sometimes, even on they are on a good mission, that is good. But then now, if you're turning that mission for your own benefit and not for the others' benefit, that's where it gets messed up. And using the Lord's name in vain, or the word Christian in vain, I find that pretty wrong, man.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true, because like another thing, Kohore, like you mentioned, cloud, and like, okay, like I did, but like, do you feel a certain level of sympathy for them, or empathy rather, because of how they're doing it? Because as much as we can say that it's bad for you to fetch clout, like how important would you say it is for it to be entertaining, and like how important should the likes be, or are they important?
I mean, bro, likes and comments and shares, they come, okay, once that starts happening, it means, there's a two-way street. It's either people like what you said because of the message, it's important, or they like how you acted. It's a two-way street, so there's the one street of like the message, that is good. I mean, like you said something that is personal, and it affected somebody, so it affected them so much that they like it, they want to see more. And then when it comes to the action, this is whereby, if you are turning your preaching into more of forcing a religion, that's where things go wrong, man. I mean, people have different, you can't control how somebody likes something. It's up to them. So let's say me, I see somebody pulling up with a camera to somebody, and then the interview actually aggresses the person who's interviewed. That's whereby like people can like it because of maybe how much shame is brought upon somebody who was being interviewed, or how the host handled it. You understand? I mean, I can let's set this, man. I mean, I can put up to McDonald's or wherever, playing a Christian song out loud without even permission, and then it can get many likes. It can even trend, because I mean, it there's a good what you call influence for me to do that, yes. But then playing it out loud, it's kind of stupid. I mean, you're bringing shame to the religion, and people will end up asking themselves, what the flip is happening to Christians? Why does he have to blast his speaker on full volume in McDonald's, bro? As if nobody knows who's God. You
Okay,
understand?
yeah,
That's where it gets bad.
that's interesting, but like also like I think if you're talking about social media, we shouldn't ever underestimate just how big a trend is. If you look at the algorithm, if something is trending, it'll get to more people. So now you have this thing whereby, like, do you chase likes? Because now if you have more likes, then you'll get to more people, then you'll spread the word more quickly. So yeah, I think that one can also be quite tricky, whereby just how much, how much should you value a like?
Definitely, man. But like I said, can't control what people like. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And which is something I've realized in my journey, that religion is a personal and rather soft topic. Not many people like to be told about their religion. Even Christians, as much as we can be kind and be nice, but if you were to pull up to me and be like, hey yo, what you think about Jesus Christ? And me as a Christian, maybe I'm still a baby Christian. I don't know much about Jesus. And then I'm like, boy, Jesus is just God's son. And then, you know, that person can be like, what the heck are you saying? Are you saying this? Are you saying this? They can use my words against me. And that doesn't end well. I mean, like, instead of you sitting down with me and being like, okay, this is what, show me, instead of like using it against me. I think it's best to show somebody
Wow.
something instead of
Yeah.
using their weaknesses against them.
Okay.
That is powerful.
That's I think a responsibility that every Christian has, you know, because as a Christian I feel like you're a brand ambassador for God. You can give God a good or bad reputation based off not only how or what you do, but what you say, and also what you do relative to what you say, because you could be a contradiction, and which is something that like the world is, it says a lot. They say Christians say they value X, Y, and Z, but the way that they behave, it doesn't match up with what they say, you know. And so like when you're an influencer, I just feel like it's on like a whole nother level. Like you have way more responsibility, I think, than someone who isn't like an influencer. But on that note though, like do you think that being an influencer is something like a calling? You know, like how people are priests and like, I'm God ordained, man. Ever since I was a kid, man, I could speak to grown ups and they could just feel the word, you know. So in that, do you think what like being a content creator, especially on social media, do you think it's a calling, and especially because it's a new thing? So should we treat it as such? Do you think it's a calling, or do you think that it's something that every one of us should do because we are all on social media?
Hey guys, sorry to disturb you. I would like to say that if you are enjoying this episode, I would like you to share it, as well as maybe if you can follow us and rate our show on Spotify. It would mean a lot to us. And back to the episode. Okay, that's a tricky one. And I like the question, but not everyone can be that. No, I'm not trying to demotivate anybody, but that is true, because when you're an influencer, you have a huge responsibility on your shoulders. You can't be out here being like, you can't just say whatever. No, I feel like to be an influencer, especially in this topic that you're talking about, it has to come from the heart. In order for somebody to create content, it comes from the heart. They have a purpose for that content to be out. You don't just wake up and put a camera and then start. No, takes time. Even, I don't know, priests, I'm not sure how they do it, but regarding social media, I mean, you don't just wake up and put a camera and then start recording. There's gotta be something behind it. There's some work to be done before the product is out. That's what I think. And not everyone, if you would like to, then let it happen. Let God, or let your spirituality lead you into your content, your creativity. Let it work. Because there's nothing wrong with sharing faith. There's nothing wrong. But I think you need to be cautious of how you act, because once you remove God, which is the purpose of that content, that's where things can go wrong. I mean, like, imagine you as an influencer. You are powerful. You have this audience that are loyal to you, and they do whatever you say. So now imagine today you are like, God told me that I shouldn't, spread this word or say this. Whatever you say, these people, when you say jump, they will jump, because you are their lead to the source of God. So once you do the wrong things, they're gonna be like, oh, I saw Mang Mang Iran to so. And then some people will be shocked. Same thing you said, Horim. There are some, I'm not judging, but there are some Christians or people in a religion who act the opposite of what their religion represents, which also influence can make people do that. Understand? I mean, if you look up to somebody and then they do the opposite, that's why I think it's also important as a consumer. You should understand what you're consuming. You know, find the evidence of what the content creator is saying. That is something important, and it kind of leads into why I took time. I don't feel comfortable in churches because, well, back then mostly I didn't, because I didn't understand what the heck they were talking about. So it took time for me, whereby I took my own time to understand the religion. I took my time, and it worked out. Now I understand. Instead of you going blindfolded into the field and then hoping somebody to hold you by your hand and walk together, that is risky, man. I mean, what if they're trying to like trick you or trip you and then you fall down? That is what's happening. Understand? Low key, and it's hidden. But yeah, yeah, that's all I can say, man, for that. Do you think what they do influences people in a good way type of vibe? Like, what I mean by that is that let's talk about the good side of it. Let's forget about the bad side for now. Let's talk about the good side. Do you see difference per se beyond the screen? That's what I'm asking.
Oh yeah, dog. Like I did say that like it just adds to me. Like it doesn't make me. It just adds. Maybe it completes in some ways, but it doesn't make me. So, like the question I always ask myself with everything that I consume that I think is Christian. It could be like on social media, like we're talking about. It could be a show. It could be gospel music. Now I try to ask myself if I can see these things, like if I can see the fruits in real life. So, like overall, I would say yes. I would say that it's effective, um, because sometimes you find yourself in places where you don't really wanna be as a child of God, mentally speaking, anyway. Um, and then you could discover like a word of courage, and it can make you feel better about yourself. It can give you hope. Hope is very important, and I think hope is the whole foundation of our religion. So yeah, I do see the value in that. That's why I see the value. It's mostly in encouragement, and also like other things that are in my life that I can see practically speaking. Yeah, how about you?
I mean, on my end, bro, like I said, I took time to understand what I'm getting myself into, and then that's when I started seeing the content more overly so. And the thing that I have a problem is mostly is whereby things get to guilt trap, not guilt trip, whereby now all of a sudden we have people who use our, like, what you call, they are countering us, because I mean, the 30 seconds for Jesus type of thing. If you scroll away, it means that the devil has you type of thing. I hate that, because now it's like you are guilt trapping me, because us as okay, I feel like every single religion has that evil side, that it's encouraging us to stay away from. So now if a let's say an influencer, it's like if you scroll away it means that you are evil type of thing. Now it's sparking that type of fear. They're using fear against us so that we can consume and give them clout. You understand? And that is like kind of, that is bad, man, because why are you acknowledging the bad stuff in order to to drive people to the good stuff? Why don't you just make it good from the start? If people scroll away, they do. You can't don't use they don't use their will against them, man. Don't do that. That kind of makes things bad.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. Cause I feel like they sort of in some way they take away free will. They take away your free will, which is something that God gave you. You have free will.
Definitely understand. So, which is what I wanna hop on, and the bad side of it, which made me kind of do research on this, which is preaching versus forcing a religion. Would you say guilt trapping viewers for views, likes, and shares is good? Is that even part of the mission?
No, it's not. It isn't, because like we spread of trends. Like the more likes you have, then the more people will get your message. But now the message that's spreading isn't the message that should be spreading. I feel like that's very bad. I think that's the toxic part of it. That's, yeah, I'm fully against that. You shouldn't be doing things for that type of thing. In that way, you're not really serving God, then, are you? I feel like you then have your own selfish motives behind that.
I agree with what you say 100%. That is tough. That is tough. That is tough. And so, but you personally, would you? I mean, not per se directly, but do you see yourself kinda hopping onto the social media space and being that, a Christian influencer or religion influencer per se, just for the good of it?
Hey, bro, like if you've asked me this question a year ago, I would have said no. Now it's something that I'm willing to consider, but I have to ask myself and be very, very honest with myself as to like what the mission is. I don't think it's for everyone, and I feel like if God's telling me to do it, then only will I do it. But it's if I really like think about it and like meditate on it, like God will have the final say on that. Because I used to think it's cringe, to be honest with you, and that had to do with the type of people that I used to like follow and the type of content I would like consume. Because like, can you imagine just eating and like you're scrolling on your phone, and that's a bad thing, eating and scrolling, and then someone's like, hey man, do you have 30 seconds for Jesus? And then you're like, no, yes, like, you understand, now they just leave you in a weird spot. So things like that just give this whole thing like a bad, um it makes it infamous, right? So yeah, but now I would consider it, man. How about you?
Ah, man, I think that's like a huge responsibility that I have to carry over my shoulders, and definitely never let it be led by me, but by a higher power per se, because that's the goal. You don't, it shouldn't be, led by ambition, because ambition you know, can be more of a cloud chase. I mean, sometimes when I watch, sometimes I ask myself if some of the content is it staged. I mean, there are some things that when what you see, it's kind of weird, man. I mean, is it staged? Do they actually hire somebody in order for them to do certain things? And that gets to deceive people who are watching and the consumers. And that's a sad thing to be exposed to, man. And then all of a sudden, let's say you're a novice to this religion, and then you just saw somebody flying, and then you're like, dang, he can fly. That means if I can start believing, I can also fly. And then all of a sudden, bro, you crash, and that is not good. So I think if I were to be that, man, just let it be led by God. Don't let ambition come into it. Don't let the staging of the content come into it. You know, and yeah, I think the most important thing is don't say the Lord's name in vain. Never do that, because now that's where things get bad. Type of thing. I won't lie.
Okay, so then it's a
That's how I feel about it.
so then it's a yes. Then you would do it. You would. You could.
If it's led by
If it,
God,
yeah, yeah.
definitely, man.
Oh yes, you're not against it per se, nah. Okay, so like in wrapping up, let me ask you this, nah. So how do you think that we can consume this content wisely?
I think the best way to consume this content wisely is to consume and then ask yourself, worry, does it benefit me? Does it make me get closer to my higher power or not? If it doesn't, then it's not for you per se. Or there's also this, that you may get the right content at the wrong time. You may get the wrong content at the right time. So you have to distinguish and discern
Wow.
what is
Yeah,
what.
that's the spirit of
That is
discernment.
important,
Yeah,
I think. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
That's a good
And I
point.
also have a question for you, definitely.
Okay.
How do we fix the problem of this Christian influence, chasing cloud and all that? Is there a better way to tell the truth? Is there a better way to preach in public?
Yeah, man. I for like it's I feel like it's very it's not a new problem per se. I know that social media is new. But I would say the same thing in churches and on social media. But I think it's where are you coming from? Like what's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And that's a question for preachers, for teachers, because when you're on social media, you're a teacher. That's a question that the teachers should ask themselves. But us as consumers, whether it be church, whether it be social media, you need to ask yourself, what are you getting out of this? Don't like just follow someone and post it because it's cute, and like people are gonna see that you follow like godly people on social media, quote unquote, or that you go to church. Like, how do you actually live on Monday? What is your day to day like? When you're off the app, like where is God and all that? So these are questions you need to ask yourself. Then that's how you know whether or not you are consuming it wisely. So don't be misled by people. It's questions that you have to ask yourself, and just be honest and pray about it. Yeah, that's what I would say, man.
Yeah, facts, definitely, definitely. Okay, so closing up, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode. It means a lot. Hope that you guys are on the good side of things, and yeah, let the influence be good for you as well. B24 be better than B4. We'll catch you guys on episode 9. And peace out.
Peace, peace. May God be with us all.